Happy Thursday, everybody. My name is Aaron Kona. I'm the co-founder, managing director here at BWG Connect. We're a giant networking and knowledge sharing group of thousands of brands who do exactly that. We network and knowledge share together to stay on top of the newest trends, strategies, pain points, whatever it might be that's shaping digital landscape. I spend the majority of my time just helping brands and just connecting with them. Would love to connect with anybody on the line today. But just, having a conversation, what are the biggest things you're struggling with and what are you trying to solve for? And when the same things come up over and over again, we host an event like this. And so, a couple of housekeeping items. We're starting 3 to 4 minutes after the hour, and we're going to wrap up with at least 3 to 4 minutes to go on the hour as well. Just to give everybody a chance to get on to the next meeting without being late. The other thing is we want it to be as educational and informational as possible. So at any point in time, if you have a question, drop it in the chat. Drop it in the Q&A, or you can always email me, Aaron, AARON at bwgconnect.com, and we'll tackle questions that way as well. And so now to kind of kick off the conversation as a whole, what we've seen right now is a lot of people looking at different ways to grow the direct-to-consumer revenue. And a big hit on that is around returns. And so, what's really interesting is people have tried to tackle returns. There's just some innovative ways. So what if we can prevent them on the front end? And so we've got some great friends, partners, supporters of the network over at Returnalyze. We've done events with them in the past and just had a lot of brands in the network recommend them. And so it's going to be a great conversation. Christine, I'll kick it over to you first. You want to do a brief intro on yourself and Returnalyze, and we can keep it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me share my screen. I have a couple of slides I can share with you as I'm speaking. I'll introduce myself, share a few things about Returnalyze, and then I'll pass it over to Caroline. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I know it takes a lot to take an hour out of your day, so we appreciate your time. My name is Christine Bradford. I'm with Returnalyze. And I'm really delighted to be speaking with you today. I want to thank Aaron and BWG for hosting this event today, and then also thank Caroline Colavita for joining the conversation with me. Our topic for today, as Aaron mentioned, is around how retailers such as yourselves can use their returns data to not only reduce returns, but also increase the profitability. My slides. I'm sorry, guys. Where did my slides go? There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, why is it moving on me? So how retailers can use their returns data, not just to reduce the returns, but also increase your net profitability across the entire business, right? So Returnalyze is a returns analytics company, and we're focused on helping retailers take control of their returns. Returns is really a primary business signal that I think retailers often ignore. So imagine if you weren't ignoring that signal and you were using that information to elevate your customer experience, gain critical visibility and insight into returns that can be prevented or avoided in the future. And also, in addition, increase efficiency and the bottom line across your entire business, right? So at Returnalyze, we really help you discern between a good return and an unwanted one, or one that you can prevent in the future. To give you some examples between the two, I'm going to use the Adrianna Papell business. So say the mother of the bride, she picks a dress, she loves the color, she loves the fit, and the bride says, no, you have to return that dress. So I did that to my own mother, who picked a color that was way too close to white. And I said, nope, you can't wear that. You're going to have to return it, Mom. Or maybe she's picking, 2 sizes, right? She wants to get the fit right. So she orders 2. She's going to end up keeping the size that fits best and then returning the one that doesn't work for her. These are all returns that are naturally going to happen. They're okay. There's nothing wrong with these products, right? Nothing's wrong. Nothing's impacting the customer. They're naturally going to happen. Say you have a style, though, that then is impacted by a manufacturing issue. And the gown is consistently delivered to customers with beads falling off, right? So now you've got a product that the customer experience is being impacted because I'm like, why are there beads coming off my gown? What's going on here? Caroline's got a supplier issue. She's got to go back. She's got to talk to the supplier and be like, hey, what's going on here? And then you've got products sitting on the shelf because it's damaged and it's got defects. So if you were able to identify that issue, then you can get ahead of it, address it, and avoid it from happening in the future. So at Returnalyze, we help you discern between your returns and really identify key business areas. What are the primary return reasons? What are the key opportunities across the business with the most recoverable revenue potential? So not only do we give you access to an intelligent dashboard, but we collaborate with you and work with you as an extension of your team. So what you'll hear today from Caroline and I are going to be how Returnalyze partnered with Adrianna to help them reduce their returns, save on operational costs, and elevate the customer experience. I'm going to stop sharing if PowerPoint complies. And then Caroline, I can pass it over to you to introduce yourself and add anything else you want to add.
All right. Hi, I am Caroline Colavita. I'm the Vice President of Ecommerce and Digital Marketing over here at Adrianna Papell, and probably the happiest Returnalyze client. We sell dresses, and we sell special occasion dresses specifically for weddings. So there is a lot of people looking for that perfect one dress, and they're going to be photographed all night long. So it has to be absolutely perfect. So as you can imagine, dresses have a high return rate. Apparel has a higher return rate in certain categories, but then you layer in a special occasion event where you're the star of the show and things seem to really heighten in the returns area. We're very focused on the bottom line, as most of you are. And, instead of taking the cost-cutting approach, we took the approach of let's focus on net sales and let's attack this return rate where we can and really focus on the product and what we can do on our side from a digital aspect, which is really where Returnalyze has come in and been an epic partner along the way.
Yeah, if we jump into it, like questions that I get all the time around this space is, maybe you can start by telling us a little bit around like, what does that analysis look like? What is the findings? What were those initial things? I mean, we all know high return rates are one thing. But when you jump in and you're like, hey, I think we can shrink down, because I think everybody on the line is like, yeah, you know what? So I've got 4 kids, right? We're ordering 2 sizes because the 14-year-old might be in 12-14. He might be in 14-16. I don't quite know. But how do you spread that out? And what did that look like when you first jumped in? Because I think that's where people want to do their own little audit on the back end. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so we know one of the top reasons people return is due to size and fit, right? So that is our low-hanging fruit. That's where we start. So I think some of the initial things we were able to identify for Adrianna was to quickly pinpoint areas and styles where overall, maybe the style runs large or overall the style runs small, right? You all know that. You're analyzing your data, you're looking at the returns and you're thinking, okay, what do I need to tell the customer so they get the right fit? Also, Adrianna had kind of this universal language of, if you're in between sizes, just size up. Well, it doesn't work when you have different silhouettes, different body types, different fabrics, materials, all of that impact fit. And so we started with the e-commerce experiential findings and letting Caroline know, here's what's going on in the data in terms of styles that run large or small. And here are some best practices in terms of how you can provide the best information possible to your customers so they're getting the right fit from the beginning and not having to exchange and bracket and do multiple things. I'll pass it to Caroline to specifically share what we've implemented. And I'm actually going to share my screen again and show you live on the site what we're able to do.
Yeah, so in part of our returns process, we partnered with Loop for returns and automation there. So we, partnering with Returnalyze, updated the questions that we asked about why are you returning? So the biggest things that we had found initially was we just asked you, was it too big or too small? With the big and small, we narrowed it down. If that's your choice, we're now asking specifically, where is it too big? Is it the bust? Is it the waist? Is it the hips? But what we've done now is we've created this funnel for alerts on once the product hits a certain returns threshold. If it is too big and too small, we're going to put it right here on the product page, right at where you select your size, right before the CTA. And we're letting you know in full transparency upfront, this style is going to run big. So we made that decision pretty quickly last summer, and that we saw a really positive impact on the few styles that we did test. And this has now become almost a monthly cadence with Returnalyze and these alerts that we implement, and we can roll them out overnight. So that's been really, really a big help for us and a big help for the customer. We've also started to optimize some of our product descriptions to include more language that we've learned from the customers. If it's a soft dress, if it has pleats, something to let them know why it might run bigger or smaller, depending on the fabric type, depending on the way that the garment is structured, which has really been helpful internal and to the customer. So it really helps us really full process along the way. In terms of the comment that Christine made about the universal language, we actually ended up changing that to really let the customer know that we stand behind her. If the dress, if you're unsure, we've now recommended either buying 2 sizes, but because of this one particularly, we have put it right there in her face again. Order a size down. This one runs a little bit bigger. This isn't going to be your typical fit, or if you're a typical AP customer, this is where you range for this particular style. And then some of the other things that we have found is in terms of the fabric, we've now started to add what we're calling our stretchometer. So this is a brand new thing that we're rolling out like as we speak. We have gone back to our design and merchandising team, and we've asked them, we had a whole stretch session in the office in our showroom where we were pulling styles, checking the stretch scale. They now have to put in a number between 1 and 5. So no stretch whatsoever or very stretchy, because we have found too that based on different body types and the fabrication, dresses are going to fit you differently. You could be a size 4 at every store, but depending on the garment. So we've implemented this now on a handful of products. We'll start rolling that out soon. And the goal is to have everything go forward, have our new stretchometer on the site to let the customer know really in her face how she should expect the garment to fit when she gets it.
Right. So I shared it up on the screen here. You can see the stretchometer. And then for this one, it doesn't have a clear indication of it running large or small. So as Caroline mentioned, we updated the language. So rather than just naturally sizing up, we're pushing the sampling behavior. So go ahead and try those 2 sizes on and keep the one that fits best. And we actually found that increased the net revenue per order when she's trying on 2 sizes, because she's more than likely to end up keeping an item rather than just returning the one and saying it didn't fit, or exchanging for something else and getting frustrated by the process. Something else that was
did you say you increase? What went up? The order value or profit?
Yes, absolutely.
We just like our net revenue from those customers who bought. So with the bracketing, we're now encouraging buy 2 sizes. We want you to buy 2 sizes. We're encouraging you, if you're in between and you're unsure, you don't know us, please buy them both. And we have found through Returnalyze that she's more likely to keep one by ordering multiples than she is from ordering one size, hoping for the best and then returning.
That's awesome.
That was eye-opening.
Very eye-opening.
So encourage them to buy more than one.
Right.
You're probably going to guarantee.
And encourage the return. But you're going to keep something along the way.
Right. The myth out there is I have to stop my customers from doing this because they're buying multiples, and that's not a good thing. When in fact, what we're seeing is it's a positive thing, because she's then more likely to keep something. Or we found, in other industries and verticals, when she likes something, she's going to buy multiples of the same color, and then she's going to keep the multiples in the same color. So again, it's beneficial to the business.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. Right. So a couple questions that roll in here. My industry is hard goods and housewares. Any learnings we can apply to my industry?
In terms of, this specific example with the bracketing, I'm not sure. I don't have a hard example there. But certainly there's a plethora of different PDP experiential best practices that we can apply across different verticals and industries. Today we're speaking specifically about apparel and but there's things you can do with shoes. So there's things you can do with houseware to make sure that you're providing the best experience and the most information as possible. I'm sure there's got to be some sampling insights in there as well that can be applied. It all also varies, by brand and retailer as well.
So then they're doing a deep dive and then around, hey, why are people currently returning? What are their comments?
Yeah.
Right. And then how do we give them the most? Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Jump in, please.
I was going to say what we did find actually in terms of the bracketing, while we found a lot of success in the sizes, there was one particular dress that was constantly being exchanged from one lighter color to a darker color. So we actually photographed them side by side and put more of like, this is pink and this is rose gold. So we did find something there too that there was some confusion almost within the color basis. So something could potentially work when it comes to home goods and that space when it comes to colors, if someone's unsure about textiles or really where they're going to land in that area.
Or sizes too. Sometimes I'm awful with sizes. When I buy online, I'm like, oh no, I thought this was going to be this big and it's not right. So if you're buying kitchenware or things like that, and I wouldn't know in terms of the sizing to get it right. And then maybe I want to buy multiples to see if I want the bigger pan, the smaller pan, whatever it might be.
Awesome. Another question that comes in, and just a reminder, anybody, if you have questions, drop them in the chat or the Q&A, or you can email them to me as well. Tracy has one here. Do you offer free returns in this situation, or is the customer paying to send the extra size back?
So on the product page, we list that the return policy still applies, but for those customers who do reach out to us and reach out to our customer service, we waive any return fees. We're the ones encouraging this. We're the ones encouraging you to buy multiples. I don't expect you to have to pay for it. So more often than not, they're reaching out, asking for the refund, and I'm happy to do it if they're keeping one of the items.
Right. Got it. So it's a case by case basis, but you're waiting for it. Yeah. Interesting. Awesome. All right. The next one. So Kate sends in a question, and thanks everybody for the great question. So then do you charge a restocking fee?
So we charge a flat $9.95 fee to return the item, and we actually which might sound a little counterproductive. We changed our return policy earlier this year that it's a one-time $9.95 fee for your first item, essentially. And then we charge you $5 for each additional item as a restocking fee on the return. So that was really to hinder the abusers. We found some people quite literally would order 27 dresses and return 27 dresses. So that was really put in place to stop the bad behavior. But we do have a restocking fee at the moment.
Yeah. Awesome. Have you ever, so another question that comes in over email then, and then we can jump back to some returns here as well, is do you ever offer credit instead of restocking fees? So instead of giving them their money back, offering them credit instead and then waiving the restocking fee? Like, how do you keep them as a customer? I think
so we do offer in the returns process, you can get your refund. You can get a store credit and come back at your leisure. We'll waive the return fees. We also offer a shop now with a credit where we'll give you an additional, I believe it's $20. If you instead of refund or waiting for another purchase, if you make another purchase right now in this session, we'll give you an additional credit to do so in the moment.
Awesome. Next question that comes in is around bracketing. Can you tell us more about bracketing and how you and your team have been able to use what you've learned?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier, that we found it was more beneficial if she tried on the few sizes at home. So we were able to use language, we've seen this across a few other retailers, and then they get stuck and they're like, well, how do I tell my customer to do this? Caroline's awesome because she's willing to try things and test things with us. We're like, hey, give this a shot. Just tell her in the copy, if she feels like she's in between sizes, instead of just telling her to size up, let's just push her to get, both. And then she's been able to mitigate on the back end, right? The restocking fees or the return fees, and appease the customer that way. I mentioned it earlier too. We used, and Caroline, said this as well, but through bracketing behaviors, we were able to identify that she was trying to also pick between like colors. So, obviously bridesmaid dresses, they come in a plethora of different shades and hues. And she was trying to figure out between these nude, rosy gold colors and champagnes of which one were the best ones. So the bracketing behavior helped us identify actually a problem, that the imagery was not portraying the colors correctly. So then Caroline was like, why don't we just shoot them side by side and start showing the product side by side to be able to allow her to differentiate between the colors? So again, by understanding the behaviors, we are able to apply different types of tactics and test different things to then ultimately reduce the returns, increase the net revenue per order, as we mentioned earlier, and play around with different strategies on how to resolve the issue at hand.
Awesome. Have you also seen this? Another question that comes in around lifetime value of the customer. Like, have you seen this impact that side as well? I'm thinking, customer retention, customer satisfaction.
We're just starting to see some increase in the retention rate. We started with Returnalyze last summer, almost a year ago. But what we have found in our business particularly is the lead time for her second and then consecutive purchases starts at 180 days. So given that it's such a big purchase in her life and that it's really a particular dress, but what we have actually started to do is working with the Returnalyze team to talk about retention scores. So we just have recently started diving into, okay, if she buys product 1, 2, 3, she's more likely to come back and buy product 4, 5, 6. So now how do we target those specific groups first and tackle those instead of trying to take a really larger approach to let's just get everyone to come back? We're really diving into product sets or product categories to talk to her about her second purchase and try to get her to come back sooner than the 6-month mark.
I mean, it just makes sense, right? If you make it easier and it works, right? Because that's the most frustrating thing, right? I know there's getting the color right, but getting the fit right is the most frustrating thing. And regardless of how easy returns are to do, they're all around a pain.
Yeah.
Right. You somehow have to get a return authorization form. You somehow have to get a package. You're either going to drop it off or somebody's going to show up. You may or may not be leaving it on your front porch. It's all around a pain. If you can make it easy, that's what I was thinking in the back of my head. And you can identify who that is, but then also you can identify those people that you made it really easy for. They go in a different bucket, right? Yep. They go in a completely different bucket.
Right.
Awesome. Still some great questions coming in here. So have you started gathering any customer feedback on these soft measurables like stretch, comfort, et cetera, via customer reviews? And if so, are you showing those on the PDPs and are they swaying customer behavior? So kind of a longer question there.
Yeah. We actually, go ahead, Christine.
I was going to say, go ahead. It's up to you.
We just started putting that particular piece out there. So I don't think we're going to see anything yet in terms of reviews until probably for another few weeks. But we'll be happy to follow up with that for sure, because that is hot on our list of, okay, we just launched the stretch, we just launched more inclusive information on the product side. We'll have measurements probably in the coming weeks.
We're definitely using that data though to inform future product buys and assortment. So or just development, right? So we did find in the data where the sleeves were not lined. They were, it was itchy to the customer. And so that she was returning it because it was uncomfortable. So what then the product team was able to do was go ahead and line that sleeve and make sure that that was resolved. Again, looking at different cuts and using that information in terms of her preferences of how things are cut, or again, a flutter sleeve or a surplice, we can then inform product assortment. So it's not necessarily also to speaking to it on the site, but also using the data to then inform to improve your assortment for the future, so you don't come across those types of returns or issues in the reviews, in the returns, and moving forward.
Yeah, we actually, a great example of the surplus. We were seeing customer comments that it fit, but it didn't fit in the bust, and it just something strange was going on. The return rates were high for that particular category. We ordered quite a few pieces from stock, and multiple size women in the office tried it on to the point where, like, right then and there, while we were trying them on, and we could see it on ourselves on different bodies and different sizes, we changed the construction of the garment for that type of styling go forward, which we'll see come fall, just given the timeline on that. But we were able to action on that pretty immediately, and I actually made people in the office change, but it worked, and we figured out what the issue was and how we could remedy it go forward.
So you're using it then, Christine, if I pull that thread as well, and then, Caroline, from your standpoint, you're using it for product design, product revision, future products are coming out. So then you can factor out, hey, this material used on the inside, don't ever use it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right. We had 3 dresses, to Christine's point on the itchy sleeve. We had 3 styles that had gone back into work, into production, that they went back and double blind the sleeve with a softer mesh. And we've got that coming in a couple months.
I think, that's an area of the business that retailers don't think they can apply returns data for, where we're trying to change that paradigm and that conversation in the space to say, you can absolutely use your returns data, even though it has high grossing sales. What are your net sales looking like? So you can say, oh, well, it sells all day, but if it has an 80% return rate, did you really have high sales? So the merchandising team at Adrianna has been using our dashboard to look at the styles and understand what are the net sale performance and what are the return rates, so they can inform future buying decisions. So what the team has been able to do, and I'll name a few and then let Caroline speak to some others, but they removed the petite offering completely. Yep. It wasn't working for the business. The returns were too high. Net sales were too low. So we just nixed it. We've done a lot of looking at what the product mix should be. Adrianna Papell historically is an occasion wear. It's a mother of the bride item. But to get her to come back, she needs something else instead of that just once a year, maybe special occasion. So we talked about, let's shift the product mix and start adding some day occasion and getting more heavy in day occasion. So then she either comes in on an item she wants to wear to the office or on a date night, and then moves over to an occasion, or vice versa. And that speaks to the LTV that you're talking about too, Aaron, earlier. Caroline, I don't know if you have more you want to add to it.
You covered that one.
No, that's awesome. And just a reminder, as people have questions, keep dropping them in there. So this is the next question that comes in. So roughly the size of the company. So I'm not sure, how comfortable you are.
We can't
small,
share
big,
it.
large.
Let's call this medium. Somewhere between small and medium. Our e-commerce website is a healthy size, and we're in a medium space. Overall, the company, though, we also are traditionally wholesale. So you can find Papell at Macy's, Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, Dillard's, Amazon. So what we've actually started to do on that side is we're not only looking at our D2C return rates and net sales, we're taking all company sales that we have access to, and we're checking the return rates across the board. So we have taken, this kind of startup approach to e-com, but layered in every data point that we can get our hands on from all of the omni-channel, anything that we have. And we just started working on that in the past few weeks, finding areas of opportunity where Macy's might be blowing out of something that sales, we should add it to our assortment, or just benchmarking our return rates against everyone else. Is it a color issue from an image? Does Macy's have an issue? Do we have to replace their images? So we have started layering this in on a larger approach for the company.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, even from, for those that are in brick and mortar as well, getting a heads up early on. So you think about that itchy one. This is the last one you want to sell into a Macy's or Nordstrom, right? You want to know that ahead of time in that material, and you can, right? Because you don't want to take those returns back from Macy's as well.
Exactly. And we're typically first to market, so we're able to share these insights. So we actually have our company merchandising team, just like head of design and head of merchandising, on our biweekly calls. So they're able to get out ahead of any sort of production issues like that as well. If Macy's doesn't have it yet, how do we mitigate that immediately and make sure that that can be stopped? And we're trying to be much more proactive in that approach.
Awesome. Love it. So keep dropping questions in the Q&A or in the chat. We'll keep getting them answered. What about the pricing side of things? Are you using it to do anything to guide, on the pricing or pricing sensitivities and stuff like that?
Going off of what Caroline was saying, so we are using the retail data and the online data to understand, because every retailer is pricing the products differently. So we're able to identify, where Adrianna Papell may have been providing promotions too early and dropping prices too early where it's working at the retail locations and calling that out. Or we were able to identify products that were performing really well at retail that they weren't pushing online. And so being able to do that. I'll also give another example that's blinded for another client of ours where they're noticing they have now trained their clients or their customers to be price sensitive. So she buys all her product and then she's like, oh, but I know that sale's going to happen tomorrow. And so then she returns everything and then buys everything again at the sale price. So, by understanding the returns behavior and being able to look at returns by price via an omni-channel view by a customer level, then we can inform the business, hey, maybe you shouldn't be pushing this promotion at this time, or maybe you're pushing too much of a promotion where you shouldn't be because it's doing well at Macy's or Bloomingdale's or wherever.
The other fun thing that we've started to explore at price point is the actual ticket price and the impact of, once you hit $285, you're going to see the returns skyrocket. We're at $279 and below, there's a little bit of a sweet spot. So we're now trying to figure out, how do we take these products that they have high gross sales? Is there a price sensitivity at over $300, for example? And do we just make a different version of that at a lower price point that will end up sticking with the customer? So we've started examining the price tickets in specific price buckets and figuring out the lower return and high net sales within each of those.
Then are you also then working in like cross-sell, upsell?
Yeah, so that was super fun finding where Adrianna has these, the wraps. On a cold night, you want to wrap yourself up or whatever it might be. So they were doing really well at retail, but we weren't really pushing them online. So what Caroline did was they added them to the checkout process as an upsell opportunity. So it increases your basket size. The return rate on them is super low. They sell a lot of them. And so you could do it at the checkout process, or we've made recommendations based on, again, products with a high retention score to complete the look. A lot of retailers are doing that, right? So complete your look and you can push items that perform well, have low returns to go ahead and increase that basket size and upsell, cross-sell products.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Are there, so another question comes in around being in stores as well and the omni-channel view. We talked a little bit about it, but are you able to then grab that data and ingest it into the program too? What is that? How do you look at the omni-channel returns if we're in store, right? We're not just talking about marketplace, we're talking about in store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So the dashboard allows us to see, did they buy online, return in store? Did they buy in store, return online? What does that look like? We know that returns online are higher than they are at retail, but it certainly helps, as we've given you guys, I think, of several examples now of how you can use that information and the omni-channel view to just improve, right? And increase your net sales, reduce returns, optimize. So absolutely, the system can see all of that. And I think that's where a lot of retailers get lost, because they're like, how do I marry my old point of sale system and my online data and put it all together? And at Returnalyze, we really help our retailers bring all that into one view, which is then helpful to the retailer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Caroline, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too.
I mean, well, first on the dashboard aspect, it is the easiest dashboard and so user-friendly. They have certainly made it really, really accessible for us to, in between our normal conversations or the insights that they provide on a bi-weekly basis, we're able to go in real time and pull anything that we need. But for us, especially with an omni-channel approach, we have been able to look, we've looked at things blended, we've looked at things, in store versus online, but having the ability to discern, okay, if we're looking at our return rate compared to a Macy's return rate, what's happening with Macy's? Is all of it happening where it's online and online? What can we do to help them there? Or if it's all happening in stores, we can then dig in and work with the Macy's team to figure that out. But being able to just quickly see what's happening and where it's happening has made it's mostly on the time savings, and it allows us to action on it when otherwise we'd kind of be spinning in our chairs, just hypothesizing about what it could be.
Awesome. And just a reminder, keep dropping questions in the chat or the Q&A or emailing them to me. We'll keep answering them. What about, are there other ways that you're using this data? So that I think one of the key things that I'm taking away is, across the board right now, we have to think like next level, right? We're doing that on the paid media side. We're doing that on the paid search and social side. And now we're actually doing it on the return side, where it's not just enough to just get returns, accept returns and look at customer reviews. It's the blending across the board and then using it, like you're saying, like product design, product updates, new product launch. Like, what are we doing as a whole to make sure we're getting the best possible product the first time around? But that kind of begets the question around like this operations, supply chain. Do you see it affecting, that side like earlier on is as well, right? Kind of wondering. Yeah. Anything there you can learn from returns data is, I just think there's probably 3 more spots that we can pull returns data and leverage.
Yeah, I think sort of what Christine touched on very early on was, for us specifically, our beaded garments for the most part are hand beaded. They're hand beaded in China, or mostly in India. So what we've been able to do is take customer reviews. We measure all of the damage rates on our side, and we're able to take those particular product SKUs and go immediately back to that factory and talk to them and talk to our team over there about any quality issues and how we can mitigate them up front. And then what we've actually started to do was, while we are talking to the factories to be more proactive and talk through any issues that we've got over there, we implemented a damage system in our warehouse where we now have someone who can fix any minor issues. They do the repairs right on site. We're able to save that stock, put it back in, and resell it.
You also changed your packaging, Caroline, so that
we changed our packaging. You're right. We actually changed it. Well,
another great one.
Too. It will actually be delivered at the end of April. So we ship flat packed, And we found that there were some damage issues where the garments were getting dirty just from being on the conveyor belts and just being thrown around from FedEx. So we went back and we changed our poly mailers to a much thicker bag, which will be coming in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, Christina, other stuff that you're seeing, like it's just amazing to me. That's what it is. Cause a year ago, people were thinking about this, but I don't think it was such an immediate need to kind of address all these different issues. And then even if they didn't realize, that in this solution, it can have a positive net impact in so many different areas of the company. Anyways, besides customer satisfaction and lifetime value. No. Christine, are there other areas that you see that have popped up like that as well?
The marketing spend and the marketing strategies, you don't think to use your returns data there, but, you want to shift your spend again. It's just like the assortment piece. When you're telling Google and paid search to promote certain products, don't promote the ones that just sell really well. Promote the ones that have high net sales, that have low return rates, and shift, your marketing spend to adjust to those products. So we can provide recommendations at the product level and at the customer level. And what Caroline's been able to do is take our recommendations and insights and just give it directly to her agency. And then they go in and they adjust her marketing spend and make adjustments based on the recommendations that we're making from what we're seeing on the product side. And I think a lot of times people don't even think, oh my God, let me take my returns data and apply it to my marketing. Or we had a really fun conversation the other day. We have this one style is giving us a lot of heartburn.
That's an understatement. Yeah.
We've been trying to, identify what the issue is with this item. It has a lot of grossing sales, but again, a lot of high returns. So how do we optimize it? How do we improve upon it? And then we noticed, the plus size version of it does really well. And so Caroline's like, I'm just going to push out in my email marketing the plus version and just sell more of that because it's doing the best. And then let's just pull back on the Missy version. So again, just taking the returns data information and understanding what's working, what's not, and then applying it to your marketing strategies.
No, I think it's awesome, right? Especially a new product launch. Like everybody thinks you want to pump, but if you start getting returns, stop the spend on it, right? Divert it someplace else until you've got it figured out or updated. So
right. We send alerts to Caroline on a bi-weekly basis, and it's all picking up those new items that hit the threshold where our algorithm is saying, if you don't do something now, it's going to remain a high returned item. So then she can quickly take action. And then to your point, Erin, she can also move her spend. Let me move my spend for now until I fix the problem with this product. And then I can put the focus back onto it once it's resolved.
Awesome. So Christine, from your side, you plug in on the back end of the website. I mean, that's the next question that comes in. Are you a SaaS-based platform that plugs in?
We can plug in. Yeah, we, we're SaaS-based. If there needs to be interaction, where we're feeding stuff back to the retailer's feeding us data. Yes.
How long, the next question is just, how long does it take to implement the Returnalyze solution?
On average, it's about 4 to 6 weeks. It's a quick implementation. We take all your disparate data systems. Actually, Adrianna, I think, was up in 3 weeks.
I was going to say, we were 2 or 3 weeks. So it can be done.
It can be done very quickly. We move as fast as you can move. We go ahead and collate and merge and manage all your data. You can give it to us how it, comes out of all your different systems, and we'll handle it for you.
Yeah.
So we're guilty of a lot of data dumps and help. Just here, please help us. And every single time they've found something for us.
Where does this fall then in your priorities? Because I would think originally at my original onset of this call, I would thought it would have been a little bit further down, but now seeing how many different parts of the organization it can actually feed data into, it's up about 5 notches.
It's literally my number one priority. Quite literally number one. And when I say number one priority, for me, that is net sales. So whatever that means to increase net sales at the end of the day, gross sales are great, but it's not what's hitting the bottom line. It's not what's driving the bottom line for me. And that's truly all I care about. So what Returnalyze has done, we have seen a 5-point reduction in returns year over year. We've seen a significant increase, not only in just the sales and what's sticking, but all of the costs associated with returns and everything else along the way. Everything increases from there. You're not paying for the logistics back and forth. You're not paying for freight. You're not dealing with, my ROAS has to be based on some crazy arbitrary number because the returns were so high. Everything else has a positive impact as soon as you see those returns coming down.
Are there other things that you thought would have come up today but didn't? And then I'm going to kick that same question over to Christine.
No, I think I
think the questions hit a lot of them. It was,
we've hit a lot of them. I think, some other things that we've done, and Caroline spoke to it. We've optimized the return policy and we're testing that. We've changed how we capture the return data and we've tested that and we're adjusting that. We've worked together to send out additional surveys to question, returning clients to get more data. We've been pretty scrappy and really applied the returns information across the entire Adrianna business. Yeah. And they're really, the sky's the limit of what you can do, as long as you're willing to be flexible and test and have an open mind and take that feedback and act. Sometimes it doesn't work and we've had to, make adjustments there too. But we really, try to be an extension of the team that we're working with and truly be a partner. And I think we've covered quite a bit that we've been able to accomplish. Yeah.
This has been awesome.
We call Christine our Chief Returns Officer internally. So she's, as far as we're concerned, she's part of our team. The whole Returnalyze team, everyone, it's made such an impact for us.
I think that was another point was like, Christine, I was noticing like how much you knew about the business, which is really cool, right?
Yeah, she has
the hands-on piece. She's like,
eat, sleep, breathe retail.
That is awesome. I mean, I don't have any other questions that have come in. I always like to give people the gift of time back. But, both of you guys have been so awesome. Really appreciate, you guys get your time today. More than happy to connect anybody on the call today with, either Caroline or Christine after the call 100%. And Christine, you guys are just awesome friends, supporters of the network, and look forward to having future conversations with both of you. But with that, I think we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks everybody for the great questions and dialing in. Hope everybody has a fantastic Thursday. Take care, stay safe, and look forward to having you at a future event. All righty.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.